I'll tell Father what you did here today. I didn't do it for him.
Sacrifice. The ultimate gesture of selflessness. It's when you give up what's precious to you, your life perhaps, your happiness maybe, for someone else. The ability to sacrifice is a powerful testament to your character, a sign of courage and heroism. The world of movies is full of such acts of sacrifice, but there's something that you should know. It's not only heroes who make great sacrifices. Sometimes a sacrifice comes from the least expected quarters, a murderous villain for example. Such sacrifices might or might not be because of a change of heart or a noble awakening. Does it redeem the villain in question? Well, that depends on the context, doesn't it? But one thing's for sure, seeing an antagonist do something remarkably good and noble makes a powerful impact, which is why in today's video, we're counting down the top 10 supervillain sacrifices in movies, so please like, subscribe, and give me a follow on Twitter at TV Regent. Let's begin. At number 10, we have Scourge's sacrifice in 2017's Thor Ragnarok. Now, as far as villains go, Scourge is far from an evil incarnate. His misdemeanors go more towards abusing his position as the guardian of the Bifrost Bridge to impress the ladies. He might have been recruited by Hela as her executioner to help her go about her mission of destroying Asgard, but he's known more for his cowardice and his devotion to saving his own skin. When Hela's plan seems to be going south in a hurry, he disguises himself as an ordinary Asgardian and boards the rescue ship to escape to safety. And yet, no one can hardly call him harmless. Scourge isn't averse to spilling the blood of innocence if that's what it takes to save himself. So when his character has a redeeming turn in the final section of the film, it is a bit of a shock. Shrugging off his disguise, Scourge saves the rescue ship from Hela and her berserkers at the cost of his own life. He dies a brave Asgardian warrior, something he'd actually always aspired to be. The next contender is the T-800 from 2019's Terminator Dark Fate, the sixth movie in the Terminator franchise and a direct sequel to 1991's Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Dark Fate brings back Arnold Schwarzenegger as the villainous cyborg T-800. The movie begins with the T-800 killing John Connor, the leader of the Resistance forces fighting the machines. 22 years go by and Arnie is now Carl, an old man living quietly in a cabin in the woods. When a new threat appears in the form of Rev 9, an advanced Terminator model, Carl must decide what side to take. In the movie's final moments, the T-800 sacrifices himself to take down Rev 9 and save John's mother Sarah Connor and her companion. With his dying breath, he whispers two words to Sarah. The T-800's transformation isn't spur of the moment, but has actually happened over time. Living as Carl and raising a family has taught him to regret his past actions. Like Scourge before him, the T-800 manages to redeem himself at the end of Dark Fate.
I'm not giving this on you, Gene. This is what family does. We take care of each other. You're my family, Gene. No matter what.
Next up, we have Mystique, who gives up her life in an attempt to save a friend in 2018's Dark Phoenix. Mystique's death at the hands of an out-of-control Jean Grey, who's possessed by the Phoenix Force, is a gut punch that comes early in the movie. Killing off such a mainstay of the X-universe, that too one as beloved as the blue-skinned mutant, might seem like cinematic suicide at first, but give it some thought and you realize Mystique's death did actually have a real purpose. For one, it adds layers of gravity to the trajectory Jean Grey's story takes, establishing her as the most powerful mutant alive. Mystique's death also counts as a personal loss to every X-Man, driving their actions for the rest of the film. And yes, it's a fitting farewell to an enigmatic fan favorite who can go from evil personified to good girl all in the blink of an eye. Everything else that happened in Dark Phoenix is related to Mystique's death. Was it executed perfectly? Well, opinion on that is divided, but there's no doubt that Mystique's sacrifice is an extremely powerful catalyst for the rest of the film.
You can change. He won't let me.
Next up is Nebula's sacrifice in Avengers Endgame. A major plot point of this 2019 film is its time travel theme, which creates different versions of the same character in alternate time periods. So for our chosen moment, Gamora, who's traveled to the present from the past, is confronted with two versions of her adopted sister Nebula. The scene ends with present-day Nebula, who's now on the good side, killing her past self to save Gamora. If you haven't watched the movie, right, and this isn't making much sense to you, well, that is understandable. Endgame's time travel can leave your brain feeling like pudding, but go beyond the confusing timelines, and this scene allows us to focus on Nebula's journey from being the adopted daughter of Thanos and his partner in crime to becoming an honest and true sister to Gamora. It also sees the change in the relationship between the sisters, who were once distant but who have now seemed to have found a real familial bond. By killing her past self, Nebula doesn't erase her own existence. Does that make her sacrifice less worthy? Well, I don't think so. Definitely not. It's still a great sacrifice given that she gives up a part of her own self for her sister.
Please protect Sierra.
And he's back again in the number 6 spot. Arnie, or rather the T-800, but he now goes by other names as well, such as the Guardian and Pops, as Sarah Connor calls him. In 2019's Dark Fate, the T-800, going by the name Carl, sacrificed himself to save Sarah for her son John's sake. This time, we travel back to 2015's Terminator Genisys, where the T-800, or Pops, sacrifices himself yet again to save Sarah. But this time, it's to save her from John himself, who's been turned into an advanced Terminator called the T-3000. To help Sarah escape, Pops traps the transformed John in a magnetic field, getting shredded to pieces along with his opponent and ultimately falling into a vat of liquid metal. This is a battle where the roles are reversed. The T-800, once the celebrated villain of the Terminator series, is now Pops, who saved Sarah multiple times and even raised her after she lost her family. This makes for an interesting situation, even if the film itself put audiences off. In the 5th spot is one of the all-time great sacrifices in superhero movies, and it comes from the fantastic animated feature Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. The Prowler, a deadly assassin, is in hot pursuit of Spider-Man and has him cornered on a rooftop. But when the masks come off on both sides, who should find themselves face to face but uncle and nephew? For Miles Morales, the boy behind the Spidey mask, Aaron Davis has been a loving uncle and a huge presence in his life. As for Davis, it's clear that he's shocked to see his target turn out to be his beloved nephew. For a family this tight-knit, there's only one way out of this sticky situation. Prowler becomes Uncle Aaron, letting Miles go in exchange for his own life. In the superhero movies, heroes and villains are often connected by familial bonds. Continuing in this tradition, Uncle Aaron's sacrifice to save Miles' life in Spider-Verse does deserve a special mention.
You're on your way. Just keep going.
No, wait, you don't have to do this.
Sorry.
No, don't do it, don't go.
It has to end here.
Back for a third round at the number 4 mark is the T-800 again. This time we're talking about his final act in 1991's Terminator 2 Judgment Day, which is the sequel to the 1984 original and was directed by the original director James Cameron. Terminator 2 sees Arnie's T-800 character undergo a major role reversal as he turns into a hero after having played the bad guy in the first film. The sequel story goes something like this. John Connor sends a reprogrammed T-800 to the past to save his younger self, a mission the cyborg successfully completes. He even manages to form a strong father-son bond with the young John, adding a layer of humanity to his character. Who can forget John teaching the machine to say his iconic line,
Hasta la vista, baby.
It's this touch of humanity that remains the strong suit of the T-800 sacrifice when he not only saves John and Sarah from a shape-shifting T-1000, but ultimately destroys himself to ensure that his technology can never be used to threaten the human race again. With a last wave and a thumbs up, the T-800 parts from a tearful John, which makes this iconic cyborg's most moving goodbye yet. Moving on to the third spot, we have everyone's favorite brother. Loki, the kid brother of Thor and the undisputed god of mischief, is known for having a trick up his sleeve almost every moment. He's also infamous for making trouble for his adopted family. Yep, it's also seen that the devious deity can have a strong sense of duty towards his family, rushing to their side in times of trouble. In one such moment, Loki proves himself to be the world's greatest brother, when Loki kills Curse to save Thor, but is ambushed by the Dark Elf and loses his own life. Even while cheering Loki on for his endless tricks and mischief, mostly at the expense of his family, there's no doubt that the MCU fans live for moments that bring the estranged brothers together and place them on the same side. Their reunion in the Dark World makes for an unforgettable moment in cinema history, especially given the tragic consequences.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I will not die, monster.
In the runner-up spot, we have Dr. Octopus meeting his watery grave in 2004 Spider-Man 2. A brilliant scientist, a freak with mechanical arms, a tragic soul, a man possessed. There are so many sides to this wonderfully complex supervillain. Doc Ock's obsession with his deadly experiments leads to a brutal final battle with Spider-Man, which doesn't end how it usually does for a film's primary antagonist. Brought to his senses by his opponent and having recognized the folly of his ways, Doc Ock gives up on his long-life ambition and destroys himself to destroy what he's created. His desperate last words, that he won't die a monster, are all too telling. His end signifies that he's finally at peace with himself. 17 years on, Doc Ock is set to be resurrected in the new Marvel flick Spider-Man No Way Home, which is set for a winter 2021 release. While this has baffled many fans, given that the multi-limbed villain has stayed dead all these years, Marvel's convenient use of the multiverse means that his return isn't that improbable, and an impending return takes nothing away from his supreme sacrifice in Spider-Man 2.
Now, go, my son. Leave me.
That brings us to number 1, at which point we travel back to a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. You get the drift, don't you? It's Star Wars that we're talking about, and the supervillain in question is perhaps the greatest supervillain of all time, Darth Vader himself. At the end of Return of the Jedi, which came out way back in 1983, a pitched battle is fought between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, who are, of course, father and son. Darth Vader's Emperor and Lord Palpatine tries to get Luke to join them on the dark side, and when he fails, attempts to kill him. Agonized by the sight of Palpatine torturing his son with his Force lightning, the Dark Lord turns on his master and kills him, but is fatally injured by the lightning. In a rare emotional moment, Darth Vader asks Luke to help him take off his mask and helmet, expressing one last wish to look at him with his own eyes. Both know full well that removing the contraption will kill Darth Vader. The pale human face and frail voice behind the mask are unlike anything you'd expect of the imposing figure in black, even if you knew the story behind his origin as Darth Vader. This dying moment is impossible to forget, as we quite possibly are seeing the former hero Anakin Skywalker and not the villain Darth Vader saying goodbye to his son after a brief but fatal reunion. And there you have it, the top 10 supervillain sacrifices in movies. I'll bet you were moved, weren't you, seeing these hardened evildoers act out of their skin. Makes you want to root for them, doesn't it? Well, if you were even in the slightest bit moved, I hope you'll give this video a like. That would make my day. If you enjoy all things superhero-like, then do check out my channel, the TV Regent, for more content like that. I'd love it if you could subscribe. You can also leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Time to say goodbye for now, and I'll see you next time on the TV Regent.